Welcome to the Fasting Podcast, Wow, Wellness and Optimal Weight. I'm your host, Julie Phillips, certified natural health professional, bringing you episode 115, Leptin and Ghrelin Hunger Hormones. What about leptin and ghrelin? Well, leptin is the peptide hormone secreted by the fat cells to signal the brain whether or not you need more food for energy or whether you have enough fat stored already. So that is the satiety or feeling of fullness hormone. Ghrelin is a peptide hormone produced in the gastrointestinal tract, not in the fat cells, especially the stomach, to trigger the intake of more food and can tell you when you're hungry. In our last episode 114, we talked about insulin resistance, and similarly, many of us are leptin resistant, and insulin resistant situation can also affect leptin resistance, leading to overeating even after meals. This is interesting as many of us realize we have a leaky gut situation. We also might have something called leaky brain syndrome with deterioration and dysfunction of the blood-brain barrier that's put there to protect us, and it can become damaged or compromised. The leptin and ghrelin hormone balancing happens primarily in the deep sleep. So high-quality sleep, perhaps starting at 10 p.m., might be very helpful to you in balancing these hormones. The hormones are made of protein, so they can become glycated, that we talked about in episode 38, contributing to inefficiencies of leptin and ghrelin handling. So these signals to the brain can be damaged themselves because there's sugar sticking to fats and proteins, and these are made of protein in the body, and insulin also is a protein, so this can affect the inefficiency of the signaling. So what are some possible signs? You might wonder, am I possibly leptin resistant? Well, if you have an overweight tendency, especially around the middle, difficulty losing weight, a large appetite, craving sweets even after a meal, and eating sweets doesn't necessarily relieve the craving. Tendency to regain your weight after you lost the weight, so a yo-yo dieting or rebounding effect, poor quality or not enough sleep, brain fog or difficulty concentrating, a sedentary lifestyle, excessive inflammation, which is often associated with discomfort, poor energy level, blood sugar imbalances, high triglycerides possibly, or high blood pressure, and feeling stressed out often or most of the time. Now, what about testing for leptin resistance? Doctors normally don't test for leptin resistance because there are no medications for that condition. But functional doctors that are more into the integrative approach can request a fasting leptin level test from your blood with the ideal range of 4 to 6 ng per liter. Without a test, look at the list of possible signs that we just covered, and our notes or slides are on our website, you'll hear at the end, and assess your likelihood of having a challenge that may need to be dealt with. Let's talk about some possible things that could help, and one of them is clean balanced keto, not the extreme dirty keto or clean extreme clean keto, but what we call clean balanced keto from episode 16, eating all natural and organic, lower net carbs, plentiful pure water, and use natural things like personal items like shampoos and deodorants, cleaning products, etc. So stay away from the toxins. Focus on high quality and enough deep sleep, ideally starting at 10 p.m. to get the most out of what we call the circadian rhythm of the body. Manage or reduce stress along with deep breathing. This can really be helpful. Isn't that interesting? And there are a lot of ways that may appeal to you to reduce or manage your stress. Reduce body fat, including visceral fat. Possibly a longer fasting window. So if you eat from morning till night, you might want to try avoiding snacking and grazing, and maybe keep your caloric intake into an 8-hour window or even a 6-hour window. For example, you might eat all your caloric food between maybe noon and 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. Fiber, soluble fiber. Some examples are chia seed, flaxseed. That can slow the absorption of glucose, decreasing the likelihood of insulin resistance and helping you to feel full for satiety. So that could be very helpful with the situation if you're leptin resistant. Plant-based protein, ideally with omega-3, maybe good quality salmon, wild-caught fish, grass-fed, some plant-based protein powders that are organic, they can really help satiety and help you feel fuller. And good omega-3 fats. They're not just anti-inflammatory and crucial to cell membrane health and insulin sensitivity, but many diets are way too high in omega-6. The omegas can help with satiety. You might want to keep an eye on your nutrient levels, getting optimum vitamin D levels, maybe being out in the sunshine without sunblock for 15 minutes a day. B vitamins might be lacking, especially B12 and B6. So that could be a factor as well. I really like getting extra B vitamins through what I call the wow drops. Anti-inflammatory nutrients, which are lots of food, are anti-inflammatory. And other foods are pro-inflammatory. So we don't want inflammation. Fermented foods are good to help with the gut situation. Adaptogens to help balance or level us out. And nutrients like curcumin and resveratrol are also helpful to keep the body in a good situation to avoid leptin resistance. The digestive and gut health is super important. And you might want to check out episode 67 for what we really like, the enzyme probiotic mineral blend that also has the very best form of chromium. It's niacin bound GTF chromium. So episode 67, if you're interested in that for your digestive and gut health. And open and cleanse the detoxification pathways. Increase maybe resistance training workouts and activity or at least movement. Molecular hydrogen, which is H2, is very anti-inflammatory, and it also can be very helpful in all aspects of health. And you can check that out at wowh2water.com. And the mitochondria nutrients, not only do they help to reduce the glycation that we talked about earlier, which is happening in both insulin resistance and leptin resistance. Remember that sugar backing up in the blood, sticking to fats and proteins on the body. The mitochondria nutrients not only can help that, they can majorly aid blood sugar levels and can cross the blood-brain barrier and help with signaling. So if you're interested in that technology, contact me, Julie at jpwowprograms.com for detail. And I strongly encourage you for less than $30. If you don't have a body composition scale, you can get one on Amazon and know your body fat percent and your visceral fat number. So if your numbers are in range, great, but if they're way too high, you really have a high chance of having this leptin resistance. So as we said, insulin resistance is very much related to leptin resistance. So you might want to review the previous episode to this one, episode 114, called Insulin, Weight Loss, and Fasting. Check out our website at www.jpwowprograms.com. Please refer others to this podcast and YouTube. And if you have questions or feedback, email Julie at jpwowprograms.com. Stay positive, focused, and determined, because where the mind goes, energy flows.